I can confidently say that when somebody goes and buys a sports side-by-side, in their mind, they think they're gonna hit a track and be one of the fastest racers in the country. So today we've come out to one of our local tracks. We're gonna take some time and really fine-tune on our shocks to make it match our aggressive riding style. So if you ever wanna hit the track and do some racing with your buddies, you're gonna be dialed in. My name is Dustin Jones, 3-time Mint 400 champion, UTV world champion, and factory Fox racer. And on this episode of Down and Dirty, it's time for me to let my mullet down, get some laps in on the track, and show you guys how to set your car up to do 3 major aggressive driving styles: big jumps, whoops, and hard cornering. Now, before you get here, you need to go check out our other Down and Dirty videos on the Fox YouTube channel. And if you want to get some really in-depth information about your shocks, you can go check out more videos and more information at ridefox.com/academy. So before you get started on adjusting anything, it's so important for you to mark down your original settings. I like to grab a pen and paper or save it in the notes in my cell phone. But the measurements for your preload, for the position of your crossover rings, for your rebound, for your high speed and low speed damping, make sure you mark it all down so you can always go back to it. I think everybody's a fan of getting big air, so the first thing we're gonna cover is hitting big jumps. And there's 2 main things that you need to be concerned about. A is the donkey kick, or when the rear of the vehicle is higher than the front of the vehicle when you come off of a jump. The second is bottom out, or completely blowing through the stroke and hitting the bump stops when you're landing off the jump. Now, these are 2 pretty easy things to adjust out of your suspension. The first one is the donkey kick. And this is when we're gonna focus on the rebound damping of your shocks. And basically, you wanna do 2 things. You wanna slow down the rear rebound and possibly speed up the front rebound. I'm gonna start by closing the rebound off in the rear of my car. And I like to go to an extreme and then back it down. So I'm gonna go full close on the rear rebound and try to hit the jump again. If it doesn't seem to get all of the donkey kick out, you can often speed up or back out your front rebound damping. And this will help the car unload a little faster in the front end. If it flies nose high, that means you need to close off some of the front. It's super important to progressively hit the jumps whenever you make these adjustments because they may be too extreme. So start by rolling the jump a few times, get comfortable with it, and then hit it at a consistent pace so that you know the effect that the changes are having. And finally, you want to make sure that you're not bottoming out when you're coming down off of a jump. And so this is when your low speed and high speed damping are going to come in. You have to find a good balance here. So if you're not bottoming out on anything, that means your damping is pretty stiff and your car is likely gonna ride stiff in the small chatter bumps and whoops. So hit your jumps, adjust your damping by tightening them in until you feel comfortable, and then run it through some whoops, run it through some chatter bumps, and see how the car feels. If it's too stiff in the chatter bumps, you're gonna have to back it out and then try your jumps. You're gonna have to find that happy medium between landing off of big jumps and the car still riding good. Next, we're going to talk about your whoops. Everybody likes to see that car float really smooth through those long whoop sections, and ideally you want the body of the car sitting flat and the suspension doing all the work. Well, this is where rebound, high speed, and low speed damping all come into play. At the end of the day, you want your car to float level and the shocks to travel up and down to make sure they stay in contact with the ground. If the car is really beating you up through the whoops, typically I start by backing out some of the high speed damping. Typically, I like to go 1 full turn out at a time until I really start seeing a difference in how the car rides. Now, you have to be careful. If you get too far out, you're gonna start bottoming out on the back of some whoops. So you gotta find that balance. So next, you will make sure the car is getting really good traction through the whoops, and this is where your rebound comes into play. You want the suspension to stay in as much contact with the ground as it can without actually bucking through the whoops. You can loosen your rebound front and rear to make the tires droop out a lot faster, but make sure the car doesn't start kicking when you're going through the whoops or springing off the whoops. You see that? Then start closing the rebound up until you get a good smooth ride, but you're getting really good forward pull in the whoops. Now finally, let's talk about some hard cornering. And so this is gonna come down to a lot of low speed damping and where your crossovers are set. You're gonna start by driving your car, pitching into corners, making sure it's a controlled turn, and seeing how much body roll you're getting in your car. If you're getting a significant amount of body roll, the first thing I'm gonna do is jump out and check my crossovers. Now for my style of riding, I personally like to start with the front crossover rings about a ½ inch from the coupler. And when I move to the rear, I like to put the crossover rings about 3½ inches from the coupler. So I'm gonna give you the way that I adjust the crossovers on one of these shocks that I have off of my desert car. Now keep in mind, you wanna make these adjustments based on the ride height of the car, but this is easier, so let me show you. Screwdriver, hammer, can-do attitude. So start by tapping these, breaking them loose so you can spin them by hand. Ultimately, what we're trying to do is adjust the crossover ring to get down closer to the coupler. So when you make a hard corner, the coupler slides up, engages the crossover rings, and you start getting onto the mainspring, which is typically a stiffer spring. So it helps reduce body roll and improves cornering. On this front shock, like I mentioned earlier, you want to adjust the crossover ring to about a ½ inch from the coupler, and this is with the vehicle at ride height. So if you get it too close and you're touching it at ride height, the car is going to ride really rough. If you get it too far away, like this one is, the car is going to have a lot of body rolls. Now keep in mind, this is how I like to set my shocks to match my aggressive riding style. You can always make some adjustments to better match your driving style. If you want some more information on exactly how to adjust your springs, you can go check out episode 2 of Down and Dirty by clicking the link below. When it comes to adjusting low speed, I am an aggressive cornerer, so I don't mind a little rougher ride so that I can get that real hard cornering. So what I like to do with my low speed is start by closing it completely and opening it 1/3 of the way out. This is going to be pretty aggressive on your low speed valving, so be aware you may have to adjust it if you change your style of riding. But between the crossovers and that low speed adjustment is going to really make your car corner hard. So this is some really specific things that I like to do to my car when it comes to aggressive driving and even time out on the track. But take some time, go watch our other videos at Fox's YouTube channel. And if you want to get really in-depth on the shock information, Fox is doing an amazing job at ridefox.com/academy.